Hello folks, Everchanger here, and welcome back to more Ōkami. Last time we made our way here to Oni Island, where we met the evil being Toby, who claims to be the gatekeeper, but it seems he's more of a racer. So it looks like we're going to have to race him a whole bunch through Oni Island, and indeed we have done some of that already. This time we are going to be proceeding ever further into Oni Island, and as I mentioned before, this dungeon is very long, so we will not be finishing it in this video. Anyway, right here is something a little different. We have one of these little healing spots right here, which is always useful. The Labyrinth of Torment. Heat Rays of Hell. How to play. 1. Cursed statues will shoot deadly heat rays at you without mercy. You'll be badly injured if you're hit by one, so avoid them carefully. 2. An impact to these statues could cause a momentary malfunction, so be sure to use caution when dealing with them. 3. The Labyrinth of Torment is for the enjoyment of everyone on Oni Island, so wait for your turn and respect others. Wow, these monsters actually have rules and stuff. Yep, I love it. I just find that really amusing how they have to respect the whole rule of play nice. Anyway, if we hop over here, you will notice if you whack one of these guys, or is it not whacking? Do you have to power slash them? Yes, if you power slash them, they will actually stop working, but not for very long, so you're going to have to play it safe when you're navigating through this area. Honestly, when it comes to this area, I recommend a slow and steady approach. Oh wow, that actually, does that change some stuff around? That's weird. Anyway, hop right over, not there, that's not exactly the most helpful way to go. Alright, can we power slash you just to sneak around here? Yes, we can. If we sneak over, ooh, this, ow, I fell. Ay. Oh wow, it actually doesn't send me all the way back to the beginning. That's definitely very, didn't mean to do that. It's definitely very helpful in this area, because going all the way back to the beginning of the room would be quite frustrating. Anyway, you'll notice right over here we have some treasure hidden, which is very nice. I don't think I specified it in the last video, but there's some things you're gonna want to buy later on in the LP, and two of those things in particular together cost, I believe, 660,000 yen, and that's not even everything I was thinking of. That's just mainly a certain subset of the things that you're going to want to buy later on in your adventure, so it's kind of insane. So you're going to want to get a lot of money before going onwards with that. It's not for a little while yet, but it's coming up. Anyway, right here we have a battle against another one of these Cyclops guys, and again, I have to say, I hate fighting this guy. Seriously. Does water do anything? I don't know if water actually does anything. Can we hit him? Can we put out that pipe of his, maybe? I think that sends him into this crazy berserk mode when you put out his pipe, but I think that actually opens up a bit of a vulnerability state for this guy, if I'm not mistaken. Although this guy, as you can see, does quite a significant amount of damage, so you're going to want to be careful with that. I believe the subglaive is always the way to go in fighting this guy. As you can see, it does a lot of damage. Unfortunately, it looks like he's back into his berserk mode. Alright, please don't hit me. Can we Veil of Mist get out of this guy's way? I will be honest, in case it wasn't too incredibly clear, this is one of my least favorite enemies in the entire game, and the camera's being really weird in this area, I'm realizing. I just really don't like fighting this guy because I can never remember exactly what it is that brings him down. Anyway, with that, is it water? I highly doubt it's water. It is water! Holy crap! That was a complete guess, wow. I didn't see how many Demon Fangs we got from that guy, but it was at least 3. That's pretty good. Alright, is there anything else in this room? Oddly enough, I don't think there is. Let's see, I think we can slash... Can we not slash this? Oh, they just open. Durr. Alright, let's head through here. And there's actually a very nicely placed save mirror right here. So if you are fancying a stopping point from this onslaught of the Labyrinth of Torment, that is where you can go. Anyhow, right here we have a lockjaw who really doesn't want to let us pass. And of course, once again, we have Toby. None of my comrades have ever made it this far. It would appear you are not an opponent to be taken lightly. But I have had enough. It shall all end here. I, Toby, shall risk it all in the Passage of Needles. Alrighty, this one you're definitely going to want to race for, but you might notice, all the way over there, there is actually a bombable wall. So what you might want to do is actually walk past Toby right here, all the way up to... Oh no, this is actually the exit. Derp. So I guess we have to start the race with Toby first. Unfortunately, it looks like with that I have to walk all the way back, and that was really close actually. No, I didn't want to start him. Anyway, that will actually open up the door over there. Can we get the cherry bomb? Not anywhere near close enough. Alrighty. After that derp on my part, let's see if we can get down there a little bit more quickly this time. There we go. That actually wasn't too terrible, and the bombable wall isn't actually in the course at all, so might as well just bomb it right here. I should point out that some of these areas are a little bit claustrophobic, like some of the races, and for that reason the camera might get a little bit wonky, and I do have to apologize for that. Anyway, right here we are actually on the outside of the castle hidden within Oni Island, which I think is really cool. Use Catwalk right here, and I should mention, Catwalk is not the floral finisher of any enemy in this game. Its only use is in the overworld with those statues, so I guess in that way it's probably one of the most underutilized powers in the game, which is a little unfortunate because I really like the cat god in general, but it is something definitely worth noting. But if you're a big fan of the cat god, then you're probably going to like the next one that we're going to be meeting pretty soon here. Anyhow, going to open up this lockjaw, and we can pass through this surprisingly long hallway right here. I'm realizing I lost quite a bit of health in that fight against the Cyclops and those evil statues shooting the heat rays, so hopefully we'll run across a couple of holy bones right here, although I'm pretty sure I've got some in my inventory. I kind of want to save that for a bit later. Anyway, up here, we are actually outside, and you will see there is quite the statue right here. Check that out. Now that's one fierce looking statue. Look at how it's roaring up at the storm clouds. It's as if it's ready to leap up and take a bite out of the moon. But here's the problem. There's an enormous bow, but no arrows. The lack of a crucial element spells disaster for any masterpiece. Oh really, Isun? But anyway, that is a hint that indeed we are going to be using Rejuvenation once again. Wow, the arrow blew away the storm clouds. Hey, look! Indeed, it is another constellation, and this guy is one of my absolute favorite gods in the entire series. Ah, Amaterasu, origin of all that is good and mother to us all. The evil forces which dwell here had sealed me away. But your arrival awakened me and restored the light within. You who walk the same battlefield as I, Gekigami, god of thunder, deserve the power of lightning. Use it to crush our foes. Yep, we have a tiger god who is the god of lightning, and he shoots lightning bolts using a bow and arrow on his back. Don't tell me that isn't the most badass thing you've ever seen. At last, the 12th god, Gekigami. Thunderstorm, the fearsome brush technique for controlling thunder, is his trademark. I'm sure you can master that one, Ami. It belonged to you once. I know. See that sword statue over there? Try striking it with a bolt of lightning. When you see a lightning shooting from the storm cloud, simply draw a line connecting it to the statue. That'll guide the lightning down to the target. Go on, give that sword statue a good zap. So like fire and water and all those other elements, it works just like those. What the heck was that? I mean, Isun, the lightning disappeared, kinda. You're supposed to draw a line to the statue the moment the lightning flashes. I know. Wow, it actually gives you a tutorial on this? That's... wow. Anyway, you might have noticed a technology theme in this area, and indeed, electricity is the key. Awesome. A lightning strike like that will zap an enemy real good. Hey, it looks like your lightning strike opened that door. I wonder if it's controlled by some electrical mechanism or something. That was a freebie. Let's head for the top of the castle with your new technique. Ami, there's only one more of those celestial brush techniques to go. Once you get that one, I will have seen all the techniques. Won't be much longer now. But this is no time to shoot the breeze. We should get going, Furball. Yes, indeed. With the arrival of Gekigami, there is only one brush god left to meet. What might their power be? Well, we are going to have to wait a little while before we see it. Anyway, as you can see, striking these statues of the 9-strike sword, and I should point out, I don't think that's an official name, but it's very similar to the 7-strike, so I just like to use it. Striking those swords with... I seriously fell right there, are you kidding me? Striking these swords with lightning is going to be a very key element to progressing through this area, and it's worth noting, if there's been an enemy so far that you just couldn't figure out the floral finisher of, odds are it's probably lightning, and if not, it's definitely going to be the 13th... I fell again? It's likely going to be the 13th and final power that we obtain on our adventure. You know what? I need to get out one of these Holy Bone M's and use that, and I gotta say, I've been failing a lot more in this area than I was really planning on, and the most unfortunate thing about it is, whenever you fail, you have to wait for this stupid rotating thing to come all the way around, because it takes forever. Anyway, let's hop on top of it this time and make our way all the way over here, and actually make it this time, because I promise I don't suck at playing the game. And surprise, surprise, we actually are getting some praise in this area, because there's actually a clover right here. How much will this give? I'm betting at least 30. 50? Holy crap, okay. Well, since the game was so generous to give us that much praise, I think we are going to upgrade our health, because, as evidenced by my absolutely sorry performance thus far in this dungeon, I actually might need it. Anyway, back inside here we have a golden gate, and up there we actually have a bit of a drum fixture. And it's pretty interesting because in Japanese mythology, it is often believed that there are gods up in the clouds playing drums, and that is what creates thunder, so I think that's a really neat little detail. Anyway, Exorcism Slip L right here, and as you can see, these treasure chests require a strike from a lightning bolt in order to open, so keep that in mind. Anyhow, right here, we can blast this open. I said we can blast this open. There we go, aye, aye, aye. And we fall all the way down here. And you will see that there are some interesting fixtures in this area. You'll notice you fall right through these weird spiky things. However, right here we have a new item. This is a thunder key, not just a regular key. Wonder if that's a key. Pretty strange looking one if it is. You gotta be careful about what you pick up, Ami. I mean, who knows what might happen? You might get zapped or something. Don't say I didn't warn ya. Isun's just fear-mongering. Pick it up, nothing happens. Except for the fact that now it solidifies these things. Whoa, what's with these contraptions? They lit up in a weird pattern. I wonder if it has anything to do with that little gizmo you just picked up. I sure hope it's not going to trigger some kind of trap. Yes, indeed, when you are holding the thunder key, you can walk on these things and you will not fall through them. And it is worth noting this key is also a source of lightning if you are going to need it. So if there are some enemies you run into that you believe have a floral finisher of lightning, you might want to use it. Anyhow, we're also getting into a use of Vine right here, and once again, it drives home the fact that even powers that we got all the way back in episode... what was it? I think it was like episode 7 or 8 where we got this power. We still are using them even now, and we've used rejuvenation in this area as well, and there were enemies with a floral finisher of water. So you have a lot of use of old powers, which I feel like this game really, really has above other games, such as Zelda in particular. Anyway, right here, we have a battle against this guy, and I don't get why they threw out one of these guys, because his floral finisher is not lightning, so I don't get to show that off. His floral finisher is, as always, Cherry Bomb. That was honestly a really, really random fight, more of an inconvenience than anything else, because that's an enemy we've been fighting for almost 20 episodes by this point. The Labyrinth of Torment. Sliding Doors of Hell. How to play. 1. Go through one door, and you'll be surrounded by more. Run up, down, all around to your heart's content. 2. Due to repeated use, there are cracks in some walls. Do not even think about using any kind of explosive on them. Hint, hint. 3. The Labyrinth of Torment is for the enjoyment of everyone on Oni Island, so try not to cause any trouble for others. And again, wow, these monsters actually have rules and stuff. I really, really like that. Once again, I just find it really amusing. Anyway, heading all the way through here, through the sliding doors of hell, we have a bit of a choice right here, and this is, as you would expect, this is a maze, and quite the brutal one at that. And unfortunately, because the camera is so close, sometimes it will de-render some of these chests so not to get in your way. So make sure to keep an eye out for these things, because they might actually vanish pretty soon after you get your first glimpse of them. Anyway, there is a lot of treasure hiding in this area, as you can probably imagine, and you're going to want to grab it all, because as I mentioned earlier, you are going to need lots and lots and lots and lots of money going forward through our adventure. So we're going to grab as many as we can, although I'm not going to bellyache about grabbing every single one of them. Alright, I think there's one through here. Yes, there is. There are maps of this area online, so if you want to be really, really scrutinous with this part of the game, you definitely can, but honestly, I'm not going to stress out too much about it, because I was checking my inventory just earlier. We have almost 450,000 yen already, which is kind of insane. And that's not counting any of the treasures we obtained in this dungeon, because we sold off all of that stuff right at the start. So everything we got since entering Oni Island, pretty much, we still have in our inventory and haven't even sold yet. Anyway, as you can see, blasting open walls is a required action to take in this area. Is there anywhere else to go? Okay, apparently there is not. I could have sworn you were required to jump through this area from another point in the maze, and okay. But apparently not. I'm going to double back just because there was a big portion of the maze that we haven't actually explored yet. I'd really like to make sure I get all of the treasures, although from a cursory glance around, it looks like that was it, actually. Which isn't bad. Definitely got a lot of worthwhile treasure in here. Anyway, sneak right through here, and we are out. And as you might imagine, this Thunder Key is required to navigate some areas. If I were to drop it out of my mouth right now, we would plummet, and that wouldn't be good. Anyway, this room seems like it's probably going to have a required fight. Am I right about that? No. That's weird. Big open room like this, you'd think they'd have a fight right here, but apparently not. Anyway, heading right through here, you will notice that we are actually looped all the way back around through this area. That is actually the room where we found the regular key last episode, which is kind of crazy. Anyhow, right through here, I believe there is just a bit of a treasure, nothing too important. A pearl, very nice. So yes, there are some optional things hidden behind the use of this Thunder Key, and you're definitely going to want to keep that in mind as you go through this area. Anyway, you will see with that we have returned to the main chamber, and we can insert the Thunder Key into this little motor right here. That will cause all of these gears to begin to turn and indeed open up the way forward. Which is definitely very, very nice. And even though we have inserted the Thunder Key, we can still use it as a source of lightning. And you definitely want to do that because it will allow you to open up both of these chests right here. We have a bullhorn, definitely worth grabbing a hold of, and an Infinity Stone, which might be useful in an upcoming boss fight because, honestly, is it a spoiler that this area would have a boss of some kind? Anyway, right here, now that's what I call a statue. Too bad it's wasted on the no-good monsters here. Still, there's just something not right about it. And indeed, once again, we see the 9 strike. Especially that raised sword there. I've seen 7 strike, the legendary 7-pronged sword, but never a 9-pronged sword. Interesting indeed. I feel like that's an implication that the name 9 strike is canon, but I don't think it's ever officially mentioned. So it is indeed a fan name as far as I'm concerned, even though I am going to be using it throughout this area. Holy Bone S right here, which is honestly useless to me at this point because of how much health we have. And another crystal that we may sell, which is very nice. Anyway, right up there, oh, that's an interesting, flattering view right there. We want to strike that sword again, and I believe there is a source of lightning somewhere in this room. Yes, indeed there is. It might be a little hard to get an angle on it, but once you strike it, we actually blow up the statue entirely, which I feel like is a little disrespectful to the craft. And we may now move onwards to yet more Oni Island, because as I mentioned earlier, this dungeon is very, very large. Is there a side area right here? No, there's not. Just a little bit of a trick of the light. Anyway, right here, we have a bit of a security system. You might recall this from the Moon Cave. Yikes. Ami, what did you do this time? Better think of something quick. What you want to do is, again, you want to slash all 4 of these eyes, and they actually hide a 5th one back here. So you want to make sure to grab that one, otherwise you might be getting your goose cooked. Alrighty, so with that, we may head onwards. With that, we have a bit of a side-scrolling area, which is pretty interesting. Not something that happens in Ōkami very often, but when it does, it's definitely interesting. I believe this is only like the 2nd or 3rd time we've ever seen side-scrolling in this game. There's that one part at the beginning of the Gale Shrine, and then there's the portion where we're on the outside of Oni Island. That was, I think, last video, I think is when that happened. And then, of course, there's the digging mini-games, but other than that, there's not very much side-scrolling in this area. Right here we have another motor right here, which is going to be used to open up that door right up there. And you don't want to fall that way, because that is actually a shortcut all the way back to the start. Is there anything over here? No, there is not, although there are some pots that we can slash for money and ink and stuff like that. What you want to do in this area is you indeed want to use Catwalk. Now, unfortunately, I believe Catwalk will wear off after a few seconds, so you might want to wait until right about now and refresh your kitty paw prints, as it were. Jump right over here, and we have even more platforming. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of the platforming in here, but honestly, it's not too terribly difficult, so I wouldn't stress out over it too much. Anyway, right here, a little difficult to see, there's actually a barrier right here. You want to power slash it, and that will allow you to get up here and grab yet another one of these thunder keys. I'm pretty sure this is the only area in the entire game where these thunder keys appear, but it's pretty neat seeing them just because it's a nice little mechanic. I believe there is one other area in the game, though, where the thunder-activated treasure chests appear, so you're going to want to at least keep that mechanic in the back of your mind, because odds are you are going to be using it at least once more later in the game after we are finished with this area. Let's platform over here, of course, and we have, oh, we got these things. These little spiky things that pop out of the ground. You might remember those from the sunken ship. A lot of stuff to remember from older areas of the game. Anyway, you'll see that these platforms have these little slits in them, and you want to jump through them when they become available to you. Pretty interesting little gimmick. This top one goes pretty fast, so you're going to want to be a little careful with it. And once again, first try. What the heck, Chugga Conroy? Alrighty. Anyhow, we are now in yet another area of the Oni Island dungeon. So we've done quite a bit in this episode, but we're actually not too terribly close to the end of the dungeon, so I think I am going to be splitting it off right here, and Oni Island will take up a total of 3 episodes, which I think is probably a good compromise, and since next episode will be featuring a boss fight, it'll be a little bit longer than this one. But anyway, this past episode of Ōkami, we navigated through more of the Labyrinth of Torment, and we also obtained a brand new power of lightning, which unfortunately I cannot demonstrate because there are no sources in this room, unfortunately. With that power, we were able to navigate to a new portion of Oni Island, and next time on Ōkami, we are going to be making our way to the summit and facing off against whatever evils await us at the top. So without further ado, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time.